Jules, baby.
Hey, we finally back. We finally back in the building. How's it going? Number one chill spot. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. It's been about what, like 3 weeks? 3 weeks? 3.5 weeks? Oh my God, we've been gone. We've been in Tokyo. We've been in Kyoto. We were in Osaka. We were in Japan. And then when I got back, it was a little bit of a difficult transition, you know, that little jet lag got me. Lasted a little bit longer than I expected, but you know, today was like the first day I woke up at a normal time, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna come connect with the tribe. A little bit of a unexpected stream, just saying hi, just reconnecting. You understand? Not applying too much pressure. We're just gonna get back into the swing of things. I got a lot to do, so you already know the study streams will be coming back. Oh man, there's just a lot of things to reconnect, to recalibrate with one another. Let me get back in this chat. Let me say hi to all my best friends. We got Tabitha in the building. We got Ash here. We got Sylvia. We have Chase. Shout out to Chase. We got Luis. We got AR. We got Saint. We got Tam. I'm seeing some new names, which is real beautiful. Real beautiful, real beautiful. We got Plantiful, Positive Soul. How was the trip? Man, it was immaculate. Man, I love Japan. You know, coming back is you know, I always love coming back home because you get to come back to your routine, you know, your regular vibe. But I absolutely love Tokyo. You know, Tokyo has my heart. I don't know why, but I just love that city so much. But it is nice to be back. Home turf. Mainly just to be with you guys. I'm not gonna lie, I missed y'all. How y'all been? You know, how y'all been? I miss the streams. I miss this flow. You know, we were hanging out almost every single day on stream. So when I was gone, I legit was like, oh my God, I'm missing the fam. It felt a little bit weird, you know, when you spend so much time with people. So it's a beautiful thing. We got Teddy in the building from Nairobi. Priya Paradise, who missed the Mindful Mondays. Yeah, the Mindful Mondays will come back. Yeah, Fez says the kid is back in one piece. Did you see them temples? I did see some temples. There's temples everywhere. Like even in Tokyo, you'll be walking on a busy street and then out of nowhere, boom, a temple just pops up, right? And they have temples for, you know, different intentions. So we did check out a lot of temples. I like the temples where there's not a lot of people. Like when I was in Kyoto, Kyoto is a beautiful city, and everyone always told me like, yo, Kyoto is going to be your vibe. Kyoto is going to be the place you love the most. And I think aesthetically, yes, you understand, like, oh man, the ancient, you know, wood aesthetics, you know, everything's upkeep. It's nice and tidy. It's just got this real traditional feel, and it's real beautiful for photography or videography or anything like that. Beautiful place to go and, you know, catch your calm, catch your cool. But there's just too many people there, too many tourists, you know, like that type of aesthetic. It feels like a village. And when there's thousands of people in an alleyway, it just takes away from the essence of it. So although I thought Kyoto was very beautiful and Osaka was cool, Tokyo is still my number one. But the temples in Kyoto were cool, but again, they were just overcrowded. You know, being at a temple and there's like thousands and thousands, except for the Golden Temple in India, that one has tons of people, but it feels like there's supposed to be tons of people there. Kyoto is different. It feels like there's not supposed to be a lot of people there. They actually, I just saw an article. They actually banned tourists from some areas because it was getting a little bit too chaotic. And on one hand, I'm like, man, that sucks. But the other hand, I'm like, I get it. You know, when I was there, I was like, yeah, unfortunately, the tourists, which, you know, I am one as well, but you know, we're taking a little bit of the essence away. So it was a beautiful trip. I'm glad to be back. I see Nairobi in the building. Shout out to Nairobi. Shout out to Kenya. Um, I decided that my first public event, my first meet and greet thing will be in Nairobi. Over the last week, I solidified that in my mind. It was already an idea, but then I was like, you know, maybe I'll do Toronto because, like, you know, Toronto's like, you know, more local. It's in my country, be easier. But then I was like, nah, 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 nah. We coming back to Kenya first. So I'm actually already starting to plot on that and, like, you know, in the mind about that. Probably make a little trip out to Nairobi, um, possibly in the next couple of months, to be honest, just to reconnect. Just Tornado says, did you get your fly swag, new clothes? I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Now, I know before I went, I said I was gonna go crazy with the shopping. But while I was there, you know, I quickly remembered, you know, I'm with my daughter. It's really hard to shop when you have your child. My child's a teenager, but it's really hard to shop with your child. And I just realized I couldn't get into the frequency and the mindset to shop because I'm the type of shopper I like to put in my AirPods and I commit. You understand? I get lost in it. So I didn't really shop. I bought like one or two things that I saw in the corner of my eye, but I'm gonna go back to Tokyo. Actually, I'm already looking at some flights before the end of the year, and I'm gonna go back by myself and like have more of an adult trip. You know, when you travel with your child, it's it's a vacation, but it's also not. Feels like work in a lot of ways, right? Because I'm taking care of another human being. I'm making sure they're entertained, making sure they're well fed, making sure, if they're tired, okay, let's pack it in, let's go back, let's rest. Versus if I'm by myself, I'm on a whole different frequency and momentum. Cool thing is, you know, since my daughter is older, you know, sometimes at night I went and checked my friend out, and me and my friend would have some good food, have some good drinks, and hang out. So I got a little bit of my adult vibe in there. But regardless, the trip actually was more curated for my daughter. It was for her. I was basically like the facilitator, you know what I mean? So it's a beautiful thing. We got Jasmine here. Shout out to Jasmine. We got Marina. Jasmine Johnson says, I missed your presence. Glad to be here, man. I'm glad to be back in this space. It's a beautiful thing. Definitely a lot of streams over the next 3 months. Recommend books for raising daughters, please. I'll be honest, I don't know any. There's only one book I ever read, I think, and it was I wish I remembered her name. It was an Indian lady about conscious parenting, and it's basically about not projecting what you want your child to be onto them, right? And actually identifying or allowing them to become who they are. So you're more as like a guide and not a dictator. Sometimes parents can be dictators and be like, you need to be an engineer. You need to show us, you need to honor the family and go do, and instead it's like understand that they are their own individual. But I didn't need to read that book to understand that because I was kind of raised like that myself. So that's like naturally like my style. But my apologies, I actually don't have my, you have to understand my daughter's 15 years old. So like back then, you know, wasn't even really searching out books like that. So I'm all experience. Yeah, we're gonna, if you're in our chill community space, I'm gonna be throwing up some scheduled streams later today. And I got a lot to do. I got Japan footage I want to edit, some short form content and things like that. Probably put together a vlog, share those perspectives with you, and then get some new videos up since, we've been gone for a while. But most importantly, really come back into these streams and, spend that time together. So it's just a reconnection stream right now. Today was the first day that I woke up and I felt like I'm officially back in my time zone. There was days I was waking up at 1 a.m. Days I woke up at noon. Now I'm somebody that likes to wake up between 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. So you can understand how the past week has been chaotic for me. I'll go to bed at like 9 p.m., wake up at midnight. Go to bed at midnight, wake up at 11 p.m. the next day. 11 a.m. the next day. Is absolutely nonsense, absolutely weird. So today was the first day that's why I'm here with y'all. We got Brooklyn in the building. But what do you feel about the solar eclipse yesterday? I don't feel anything about it. Eclipses happen all the time. It's a great, if you want to place, new intentions and, maybe let go of some things because our old ways may not serve us in this new space. That's great. And then at the end of the day, if you don't really have no intention or meaning with it, that's fine too. A lot of people were acting like the solar eclipse was like the boogeyman. I was on TikTok and people talking about how they're going to be floating up into the sky, that Jesus is coming back on the solar eclipse, that the solar eclipse is a demonic ritual. I'm like, man, there's a lot of conspiracies. I feel bad to be in those type of depths and corners in the mind. Where I was, you couldn't even see it. It was completely cloudy. It was just bright outside the whole day. You understand? I actually cleaned my house very thoroughly. So I kind of used the eclipse as a way to refresh the space and the mind. I realize if you are in a funk, one of the best ways to plant the seed to get out of that funk is just go clean your crib and then start from there, right? Go clean your crib. You clean your crib and automatically it just gives you a little bit more clarity in the mind. I did like a deep clean yesterday. Felt good. Got rid of a bunch of stuff. Next, I'm gonna go do a deep clean on my fridge. Anytime I'm in a funk or anytime I get super unorganized, my fridge is also unorganized. I noticed that. It's like a weird correlation. So next I gotta go give the fridge a nice deep clean, So that's what yesterday was for me. The solar eclipse was simply just, me tidying up my space. And I set a couple new intentions for the rest of the year. I did. But that's about it, That's about it. Someone says TikTok was definitely TikToking yesterday. Yeah, you gotta love TikTok though. You gotta take it all with fun and games. I, although some people are being really serious, but um, yeah, TikTok was definitely TikToking. Divine Luna says, I took a nap. You know what I'm saying? Some people took naps. Some people are outside. I saw Jason Derulo was outside just staring at the eclipse with no glasses, just with his bare eyes. I also saw one of the most popular Google searches after the solar eclipse was "my eyes are burning." Why are my eyes burning? So there was a lot of people that just watched the solar eclipse with their bare eyes, and then they got confused after, like why their eyes was hurting. So let's stay smart, y'all. Let's stay smart. Natural selection is kind of taking out some folks. We got Germany in the building. That's very nice to see you here, Germany. We got Virginia. We got Bruce Lee. Nice to see my brother Bruce Lee back in the building. And Vanilla Q is here as well. Yeah, we in springtime right now. So springtime, I absolutely love this season because you can start to see, at least where I live, we get all 4 seasons. You can start to see the trees, the grass, the flowers, everything come into fruition. And I feel like for me, it's actually mirroring. I'm actually completely in tune with spring right now. Certain things felt like a drought, but now certain things are starting to blossom and come into full manifestation, which is really nice. So I'm really excited about this season. Really excited to move through the season with you. You know, shout out to everyone that's been purchasing the reminder deck. 33 cards that support you in your expansion. Actually, I was at a coffee shop the other day, and this lady pulled up on me, and she's a viewer. Her name was Bianca. Shout out to Bianca if you're watching the replay. And she's like, I just bought my sister the reminder deck. And it was like so cool to actually meet someone in person who bought the reminder deck. And they're like, yo, I use it every day. I was like, really? You know, like when you're online, it's like sometimes things just become numbers and comments. And it's like, if you ever notice me in person, yeah, just say hi, because I always appreciate it when people do, because it gives me like that personal experience to fully cement like, oh yeah, like, you know, we're really making an impact with people. We're really connecting with people. You understand? And had a great engagement with that girl, chatted for 5 minutes. And it's just nice to see people face to face sometimes, you know? I think that's why I like to live stream with y'all, because I get to actually hang out with you. It's a little bit better than just posting a video and looking at the comments. You know, we can actually communicate and like engage in here. But then in person, it's like the next step forward. So the reminder deck, as you understand, alignment isn't hard to find when you have a sound mind. That's why if you're in a funk, go clean your crib, go from there, digital detox, download Opal. Actually, when I was in Japan, I turned off my app blocker because I was like, oh, I'm in Japan, like I'm not really working. I'll turn off the app blocker. And coming back, I actually regret that because I was definitely on my phone more. And when I got back, I found it harder to focus. Now, that may have been because I was jet lagged, but I realized I'm like, when I travel, I want to still maintain my digital discipline. You know? Now, when I travel, there's one thing that I do lower my discipline on, and that's food. I'll go eat anything. I'll eat everything. I eat, I snack, I enjoy the culture. You know, when I'm at home, I do time restricted eating. So when I travel, I just drop that because I think one of the best things about traveling is really immersing yourself in the culture. And one of the ways to do that is through people and through food, right? Through food, you know, laughter, you know, going out, having a drink. Me and my buddy go have sushi. I don't even know what's on my plate. I'm like, let's just go, let's just explore. So when I travel, that's one thing that I just lower my discipline on. I just really enjoy myself with food. But when it comes to the digital devices, I think next time I'm gonna keep my app blocker on. Because when I got back, I felt like some of my brain cells were tied in a knot. I'm like, why is it harder to focus right now? And it's really annoying. But we getting back there, you know. We do the best we can while we can. Y'all know us. We one of the most graceful communities. But we keep ourselves accountable still. You know, we still apply ourselves in the direction that matters. You know, write that down. What app blocker do you use? Opal. It's titled OPAL. Opal. It's one of my favorites. It works. I mean, really. I mean, they all kind of do the same thing. I've tried a few different ones. Some are glitchy, but the one I use works, and it's like $100 for the year, which is for the amount of time I save. Yeah. I'll just be honest, y'all. If I don't have an app blocker on, my mind will just end up on the phone. It just happens. You know, I had to accept that about myself. It's just a reality, you know. You got to know your weaknesses. You got to understand your own mind, taking time to learn the mind. I definitely have a mind that loves to wander and roam. So I have to like channel it, you know, and simplify it. So it's simple. B says, my mom loves your cards. She uses them to teach yoga. No way. Shout out to your mom. That's absolutely insane. I love that. You see, I need y'all to like give me these reminders sometimes because again, it's easy to devalue your own impact, especially when you're like kind of like doing things by yourself. You know, I'm in the studio by myself. I don't actually get to see physically the impact. I see it online, and online things get blurry. So when I hear things like this, it does a lot for me. I really learn. I really love it. Opal is Opal free version is pretty reliable. I didn't even know they had a free version. That's amazing. Uh, Hi King, have you ever explored or learned about Jesus? I feel like you'd really fall in love with his character and his work. Of course, I feel like everybody, I mean, at least in the Western world, knows about Jesus. Of course, out of any book, I probably studied the Bible the most. And I've always said there's a few teachings from Jesus that I absolutely love, right? Because they have to do with the heart and and raising your heart posture. Loving your enemy is something very difficult to do, but it's something that he calls for. You know, if someone does you wrong, not trying to do them wrong back, right? It's not an eye for an eye. What is that saying? An eye for an eye leaves both people blind. So you understand it's all about raising your heart posture and going the other way. Loving your neighbor. I agree with some of his views on, like, being careful of the flesh and the way that we can fall deep into lust and lose ourselves. So, being mindful of that. And just that, a true religion is one where you take care of those who are in need, the elderly and the poor, or, the parentless. So, of course, we got a lot of love for Jesus. I'm just not religious, and I'm just not a part of any religion. Um, Someone says, I haven't seen you in light years. Oof. Well, we are back. Today we're just saying hi. We're just saying quickly hi. I got a couple calls today, and I do got some video recording to do. Possibly may even do a study stream. I'm going to be scheduling all my streams in our community space. I've been gone for a couple weeks, so expect me to be active and more events uploaded in there very soon as we get going. Someone says, have you pulled your birth chart? What is your zodiac sign? I'm a Pisces. I have pulled my birth chart before. I had a friend do it for me. It's not something I fully pay attention to, but it's something I've looked at, you know. This is pretty much inspired by Jesus, led by spirit, not just by ourselves, right? I also don't believe in demonizing the self, though, right? I also don't believe in demonizing the self. This actually kind of relates to J. Cole in a way. My credentials are in my spirit, Him going and apologizing to Kendrick Lamar was clearly because he felt like he relapsed. Something that people don't realize is that he said he relapsed. And what does that mean? It means when you relapse that you've gone back to something that is very toxic for you. So he clearly used to operate out of pride and ego, and he felt like he fell back into that, so he apologized. So he was more focused on his spirit. Although I am upset with him because I wanted to see a good rap battle, friendly competition. That's what I saw it as. And I'm like, what are you doing, bro? I understand it on the spiritual side as well. You understand? So clearly J. Cole is basically saying my credentials are in my spirit. You understand? It's not if I win this battle, but it's how I raise my heart. And he did what he felt like he had to do, which is not easy. But I'm also like, man, you just took the fun out of the sport. You took the fun out of the sport, my guy. Our highest form of nutrition is in our expression. I learned that at a time where I was finally making better money in my craft, doing a lot of jobs for different people. And it was going really well. And for 10 months, I'm killing it. But spiritually and just emotionally, I felt crushed. And I was like, what's going on? And I felt burnt out and I felt tired. And I was like, you know what? I haven't made anything from my authentic expression. I just been working. I just been doing jobs for people. I remember I went and I made something, and instantly I felt this weight lift off my chest. And I was like, oh my God, expression is food. Not expression for monetary gain, not expression to be seen, but just, oh, I feel something and I'm going to figure out a way to bring it into full fruition, either through, my words, it's a song, maybe it's a painting. It could be the way you feel in bringing it into fruition, into the way you, whatever, the way you dress, whatever it is. I was like, oh, this is actually like food for the soul, just like food and water is nutrition for the body, right? I think unfortunately now we live in a time where like our expression is so tied to social media and like the likes and the comments and the monetary gain, which nothing is wrong with that either. But because it gets so tied into that, we lose the essence of expression, you know, and we start to do it for all the wrong reasons. And then it starts to feel like a thing that we have to do and not a thing that we get to do or a thing that we do for our spirit, you know? And again, that's basically what J. Cole was doing, right? He was like, I want to do this for my spirit, not for what the world wants from me. I get it. I get it, Cole. But I'm still upset. I'm still upset. I'm still upset. I'm still upset. You understand? Because you have to understand, I'm a real hip hop kid, you know? I'm a real hip hop kid, you understand? It was very unfortunate. It was very unfortunate. I've been sad about it for like 24 hours now. I've been sad about it for 24 hours now. These cards are absolutely beautiful. So many beautiful colors. When we drop these cards, I'm going to admit I wasn't in the best space mentally, and it was hard for me to fully embrace the cards. So like sometimes I'm just like now fully embracing what we created, and I'm like, oh my God, it's beautiful. It's timeless. You know, you may read a message and you're like, yeah, it's cool, but it doesn't really resonate. And then read it 18 months later, and it's the exact message that you need, right? That is how the podcast is designed as well. It's kind of how the YouTube channel is designed. The podcast even more, that it's a timeless capsule, meaning because majority of the stuff is more like an observation of the spirit, that like it can be listened to at any time, any year, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, tomorrow, today, and resonate. It's not really reflective on the drama happening in the culture. Now, we may give an opinion sometimes on certain things, but majority of the content is not like that, you know? Majority of the content is not like that. So, and sometimes that's hard, you know? Again, where I understand J. Cole, where he was like, yo, I don't want to have to like do these type of things to like please people or, you know, or like to get my excitement off, or I feel that way as well. You know, sometimes I'm like, man, it would be so much easier if I just like, you know, did more controversial stuff. It would blow the channel up. It would be really good for the business. But like my soul don't want to do that. My spirit don't want to do that either. So I understand J. Cole. But he also let me down. The man let me down as well. It's crazy how two things can be true at once. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? But especially in 2024, where everyone's trying to be seen, it's definitely better to be felt. Sometimes it's better to be seen than just felt, you know? Felt for who you truly are. In a world where everybody wants to be seen, it's truly better to be felt. Root yourself today in the true you, the authentic you. Focus on the spirit, not just the surface. It's beautiful. Are you going to upload a new podcast in the near future? Yes, I was actually just talking to someone about this and how the podcast is a priority for me. I do want to upload the podcast, but actually what I want to do is I want to program the podcast into the live streams and then take the audio and then upload it into the podcast. So work it into the live format so I can maintain it, because it's very hard to like create individual content for every single platform at an optimal level. So I've been working on systems and a flow that's exciting for me, where I can still nurture those other spaces, because I understand why the podcast is so valuable. You know, the podcast is no visuals, so it's just straight to the dome, it's straight to the mind. You can take it with you wherever you go. You could be at the gym, you can be going for a walk, you could be meditating, you could be doing anything. You don't have to look at the phone. One, that's of great value. And I love that. I love the idea of people not being glued to their phone, but they're still digesting something that's very digestible and of value for them. Two, the podcast has no ads, right? So there's never an interruption. Now, of course, on YouTube, we have ads, we have sponsors. That is the nature of the business. You understand? By supporting our community space and also cards and our products and things like that, you help us have a more well-rounded, I don't know what the word is, but you just help the ecosystem and for the content to stay as true as possible. But I understand the nature of the podcast is very important for people. So we definitely have new uploads coming soon. I actually have probably like 104 episodes already logged in my Notion. Now, all of these aren't like, they're not like written out, but about 100 episodes already of ideas that I've had just over the last few months. So the podcast is coming. Let me see. I'm just gonna read some of them I have right here. School of Sight, content. Where's the podcast stuff? We have an episode here called Factory Settings, another one Closed Tabs, another one Realizing Self, another one Whole over Holy, another one Find It and Fulfill It, another one No New Downloads. You know, the podcast titles are always not very descriptive. They're kind of left with mystery. That's what I love. You know what I love about podcasts too? Is that you don't have to play like the whole social media game. You don't need a thumbnail. You don't even need a title. The podcast has no description. I never describe it. The title never says really what it's all about. It's more like a seed and you have to click on it to water it and figure out what it's about. I love that about the podcast. Crazy thing is the podcast still does over I think 200,000 downloads every single month. But with no marketing and no new uploads. Maybe it's 100,000 to 200,000 downloads. Let me not overshoot it, but I know it's definitely doing 100,000 every month. 100%. Quan says he's still one of the best, but in my opinion, he can't battle for number one no more. I agree. Also, I don't want to hear no songs from J. Cole saying he's the best. I only want love songs and self-reflection songs from now on. I don't want no talking shit songs. That's just how it is. But he's still amazing, and I love his work, and I love his albums. But I'm not listening to any of those type of songs anymore. We got Alice in the building. Hines, I missed you. I missed you too. We got that Gemini. Hey, I missed that Gemini. I guess good to see you here. We got Heya Bays who's printing shirts. Nice. Great Outdoors says 104. Yes, 104. There's a lot. If I could show you my Notion, it's a lot of ideas. You know, it's more of a problem just finding the time and the focus to get all those ideas done. Someone says this one is kind of like a podcast too. Yeah, it really is. It really is. Someone said calling Kendrick's work tragic is tragic. Yeah, you know, he obviously didn't even mean that. So I understand like he's saying things he doesn't even mean. And like, you know, I know a lot of, you know, again, but the thing is what J. Cole did was actually incredibly hard, right? So like the truth is it actually would have been easier for him to go and make another diss song, right? Like wait for the reply, give us the that actually would have been easier, right? I think that would have been easier. I think it's actually a lot harder to do what he did because now everyone's like, yo, you soft. Everyone's like, you took that L. It kind of taints like the rapper legacy a little bit, you know? So I do respect it. I respect it. The spiritual side of it, I 100% get, right? But there's another side of me that's just like, no, I'm just mad disappointed. Mad disappointed. Someone says maybe the solar eclipse caused J. Cole to do some serious introspection. Yeah, maybe. Maybe, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, like we always got to do what we feel is right and not, you know, play for the world, right? It does say that in the Bible. Be in this world, but not of it. So at the end of the day, we got to do what's in alignment for ourselves, regardless of what other people are saying. And if the world's going to look at us in an awful way, but we can live in peace within ourselves, obviously living in peace with ourselves is always number one. Is always number one, right? But as fans, we're also allowed to be like, nah, you're not a part of the big three no more. You're down there with Wale and Big Sean now. You know what I'm saying? You got demoted. It just is what it is. Hey, Life with Momo. How's it going, Life with Momo? Nice to see you here. Someone says, I like your hair, by the way. It looks a little bit different. My hair's just shorter. My hair is shorter. I cut my hair. I actually shaved my beard too when I was in Japan, but it grew back. But yeah, I cut my hair. When I cut my hair, I felt really good too. It was getting too long. Or it just wasn't needed for a trim. I cut like this much off. I don't know if y'all can see this. I look silly right now doing this. I cut this much off. You can't see because my shirt's black. You know, let me go like this. Let me go like this, a little bit of contrast. So my hair goes to here now. Before, the last time y'all saw me, my hair was definitely like to here. It was to there. So yeah, it's shorter now. Needed. Taekwon says not with Big Sean. Yo, Big Sean's nice. Big Sean's nice, right? I like Big Sean. Big Sean's a fire rapper. He also dropped a really good record and video the same day all that stuff popped off. But at the end of the day, that's just a conversation he has to be a part of now. You know, you can't be a part of the top conversation anymore. That's just how rap goes. Rap has different rules. There's no other genre like rap. No other genre competes like a sport like rap. And anyone who's a hip hop head is like, we love that. We love the sport of it. Nobody wants anyone to get hurt. Nobody wants anyone to shoot each other. None of us saw that beef like it was going to be like that. We saw like two friends playing basketball against each other. And how I almost saw it was like, imagine you playing basketball with your bros. When you play basketball, you talk a little bit of shit. You cross your bro over and you dunk, and then you apologize for it and then take the ball and go home. Just ruining the game for everybody. That's how I saw it. I was like, what are you doing? Like, this was all in fun nature. But again, like I already said, I don't want to keep going over this, like the spiritual side of it. I understand. There's just so many feelings about it. Bruce Lee said my locks are about to get that long. You know what's really interesting about trimming my locks is I actually felt different. Instantly, I felt like there was like some energy that was in those locks. And when I cut it off, I felt amazing. I was like, oh yeah, I needed to trim that. That was good. A little bit of a trim is good. Got South Africa in the building. H says, I love this sport if they're really flexing their lyrical muscle. Someone says, in addition to the Bible, have you read the Quran or the Vedas? Yeah, I have read the Vedas. I've read parts of the Quran. Not all of the Quran. The Quran is just super hell-bent. So it's like, for me, it's just hard to get past that. But I have read. Tracy says, haircut's always a bit of a mental cleanse. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't really realize that. Well, I mean, I used to cut my hair all the time because I had short hair, but that was the first time really like cutting my hair. Like I trimmed a couple locks before, but that was the first time like actually trimming a good portion of my hair off. And Yeah, it was good. It was good. It was needed. Someone says, "Have you been to Seattle?" I was in Seattle like a month and a half ago, or maybe 2 months ago. Um, Seattle's close to me because Seattle's like 2 hours away. Seattle's a vibe though. I like Seattle. Seattle's a good vibe. Um, I do think the city's going downhill though, because I used to love going there, and lately, every time I go, it just feels different. It looks different. You know, unfortunately, the homelessness is rising. I'm not upset that there's homeless people. I'm upset that there's a system that is clearly causing more homelessness. You know, things are getting more expensive. People are like getting into drugs and things like that, and you can like noticeably see it. You know, there's a few cities um like that, my city included. My city included. Someone says you def look lighter. I might be lighter, but also I shave my beard and my mustache. So my mustache is like, I also just have less hair on my face right now. So there's less, you know what I'm saying? Maybe I am lighter because I also just took a trip, but also like, yeah, you know, I shaved my beard. It grew back a bit and I cut my hair. So a little bit of a different vibe right now. Not too much different though. Have you been to Missoula? I have never heard about Missoula ever. I have never heard about Missoula in my life. Bruce Lee says I got like 7 different Bibles. I think there's like 13,000, my brother. The system is definitely messed up. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, you know, I think it's really important that like when we go somewhere, we like try not to like demonize the people, but actually see that like, you know, it's a systematic problem. You know, it's people in position who aren't doing their job, or sometimes it seems like almost people in power are like intentionally making decisions to like crumble everything just so they can rebuild it in the way they want it to be. That's what I kind of think is going on. That they're like intentionally trying to like burn society to the ground so they can rebuild it in like a way that they like. Sometimes to like construct, you have to deconstruct. And it's like, I just don't think they love the people, you know, unfortunately. They don't love us sometimes. They be feeling like that. They don't love us. That's why we have to hold each other down. That's why we can't that's why we can't really have silly things like race or even politics or like all these like surface level things that divide us. We really have to try not to have these things divide us, right? Because then we're just barking at each other, not realizing that there's people above us always benefiting from that divide, you know? Like there's so much strength in numbers, but unfortunately those numbers don't accumulate when we're all divided on so many different things. Oh, you think like this, so I can't like you. Oh, you're this culture, so I can't like you. Oh, you're a different gender, so I can't like you. Oh, you said this on Twitter 4 years ago, so now I have to hate you. It's so silly. It's such silly games, surface level games. We have to move past that. You know what I'm saying? We have to move past that. Actually, something I love that Jesus says is before you start picking the speck out of somebody else's eye, pick the speck out of your own eye first. Before you go and you start judging on somebody else, check yourself first. How are you standing? You understand? How's your relationship with the Most High? How are you moving in this world? How's your character? How's your spirit? Before you go out here pointing at everybody else, right? Because as soon as you try to go point at somebody else, you're gonna realize, oh my God, there's something in my own eye I gotta fix. I gotta fix first, right? That's why self-love is service. You know, we take care of ourselves and then we can go into the world and be a positive impact and we can move with love. You understand? It's a beautiful thing. Sad thing is if you bring it up like that, everyone gets upset about not picking a side. Yeah, that's a thing too. I noticed. I noticed like there's this like new tone. It's like if you don't pick a side, then you're also the enemy because you're just undecided. I'm like, man, that's silly. Y'all silly. Y'all silly. Imagine getting that's silly. That's silly. Someone says you look East African. I get that a lot. You know, people normally think I'm Habesha. I get Ethiopian, Eritrean, or Somalian a lot. And to be honest, I love East African culture. So I was like, hey, I'll take it, you know? I'm not East African though. But Hey, I think one day I'm gonna live in Kenya for a little bit. That's in East Africa, you know. Kenyans look very different from Ethiopians though. But when I was in Kenya, what was cool about Kenya is like people didn't assume that I was from the West. People actually just thought I came from like Ethiopia or something. They just thought I was like an Ethiopian Rasta, you know? Like, where you come from, Ethiopia? I'm like, nah, brother, came from Canada, you know? Feels nice to just, it feels nice to just do a surprise stream like this and not really think about it and not like put too much pressure on like, oh, what are we going to do? What are we going to talk about? But just like, you know, come here and get back into things. Um, I love being in a routine. So anytime I get out of my routine, it's like getting back on that bike. I realize it's mentally more challenging. It's never hard to get back on the bike, but the thought about getting back on the bike is difficult, right? And over the past week, I was like, oh, I got to get back to content. Not I get to get back to content, but I was like, what am I going to do? This and that. And it's all way too much in the mind when sometimes you just got to make a step, you know, and allow the magic to flow into the process and then get prepared because proper preparation prevents poor performance. When I was in Japan, this theme kept popping up about how the next 12 months for me are really important that I strengthen my preparation and my pre-production in everything in life. I'm not one of those people that needs to have everything planned out, which is why I've been able to do what I do. Like I move well with uncertainty. I always believe that magic is going to flow into my process. I can go and walk down an unpaved road. That is completely fine by me. But in this season, preparation is so much more important for me and pre-production. So that is like what I'm really placing my intention and focus on moving forward. And in Japan, through a few situations and conversations I was having with people, that theme kept rising. So I was like, there it is. That's what we need to pay attention to. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. Becoming really good with preparation, because when you're prepared and you're, let's say, working with other people or collaborating, which is going to be more collaborations coming up for me, being prepared allows you to explain your vision, to drop your spirit into others so you can create bigger and better things. And these next couple of years, it's about doing, I don't want to say bigger because bigger seems just so like egotistical, but like it's just about doing better things, you know, things that reach a little bit further and, you know, take more minds to achieve. Because at the end of the day, to do some truly amazing things, it takes some amazing minds, not just one mind. It takes a bunch of minds, you know? So destination is in the steps, remember. Facts. You still doing Qigong? It's been like a month and a half since I did any Qigong. Definitely not something I'm consistent with right now. I would like to be. I'd like to be, but not at the moment. I think, you know, as the weather is starting to sprout up here and it's getting warmer and sunnier outside, probably get back into it. I think Qigong is actually better outside, you know, fresh air, you know, feet in the soil. So now that we're moving outside of winter, maybe that practice I can bring into my routine. Someone says, do you freestyle your podcast or do you prepare for it with scripts? It seems very natural and has that flow. Um, I don't like the word freestyle because the word freestyle almost makes it seem like there was like no care or thought to it. I'm not saying that's what you are saying. The first probably 200 uploads, I didn't write anything down, but it was things I'm constantly thinking about and talking about. right? And then I would just go and record it. And then there are some episodes that I scripted, but actually majority of them I didn't write it down. Um, but even if I script it, I can still achieve that same flow. But I know what you're saying. It just comes off very natural because it is. The problem with that though is like when you don't write things down, you don't remember. So I was doing my podcast every day, right? Monday to Friday. And because I was doing that, I would forget things I said. People be like, yo, you said this and it changed my life. And I was like, I said that because because I wasn't writing things down, right? And I was just, you know, in a constant flow. So I actually went back and started to transcribe my own podcasts and then read them back to myself. Because I was like, man, I put so many up. I need to get familiar with my own words. But yeah. I like to do a mixture of both. You know, sometimes having a script just feels very restrictive because now you're just married to the words. And like, what if something else wants to come in? But then sometimes, like, you know, you may be having a day where you're just not in that frequency. And it's really good to have something that you already meditated on and wrote down and perfected. And you could just read off of that. But whatever I do, I always try to just make sure that it feels natural and not like I'm reading an audiobook, you know? I love audiobooks where the actual author reads it themselves because then you can actually hear the emotional experience they had behind those words. But when it's read by somebody else, it doesn't feel the same for me, right? So I always kind of I always opt in for the audiobooks that is read by the author. And when an author doesn't read their own audiobook, I'm like, what a missed opportunity. What a missed opportunity. It doesn't make sense to me. Absolutely doesn't make sense to me. Improv is where it's at. Yeah, one of my favorite artists, as many of you know, is Bobby McFerrin. Now, it's not even just Bobby's music that I love. It's actually improv. He's an improv artist. He goes on stage with really no set schedule, and he improvs the whole experience. But that takes a lot of skill and mastery. But I love that because it's like you're leaving so much room for magic to flow in and to take the experience anywhere. Um, and I think that's why I love streaming because obviously you can't script a stream, right? Like if I scripted a stream, I would be reading off of something you would know. Um, Someone says, "Would you like to do a live podcast?" Yeah, so we talked about that earlier. How I'm gonna start actually bringing bringing the podcast into the live streams. So it'll be like the live streams are gonna kind of be more structured out, some of them, and there'll be like a portion where I go into the podcast. And when I do that, those ones probably will be written down because it's like I'll be recording the podcast, you know, side angle, get into it like that. But yeah, live podcast will be a thing. And then I'll put the audio on the audio platforms because majority of people don't catch a stream. You know, they just can't. You know, time zones don't hook up. They're at work. They're busy. It is what it is. So the audio will still be fresh. It will still work. What says you look different? Did you change something? It is so funny. It's so funny. The only thing that's different right now is that my beard and my mustache. I don't really have a mustache right now. It's a lot shorter. And I cut my hair a little bit, but that's about it. I don't think the hair is that noticeable. Will you add these to Spotify too? I don't add the streams to Spotify. They're too long. But I will add the podcast. that I record in the streams to Spotify. If I feel like when I, yeah, I'll upload the podcast from the streams to Spotify, and sometimes maybe some bonus audio if I feel like it really works. I don't like to just I don't want to just dump content in places. I just want to make sure it actually fits for the platform. So, like I know a lot of people will bring their YouTube videos and take the audio and post it on their podcast. And I tried that, but I don't like doing that because I found that the tonality is just naturally a little bit different if I'm making a YouTube video versus recording a podcast. And if I'm looking at the camera and talking, I'm naturally going to speak a little bit different, right? Communication. Just like you speak differently how you speak to your friends, with your mom, or if you're at work, or if you're doing a presentation, it changes within the environment. So the way I record my podcast, normally not filming myself, or if I do, just a side angle, not paying attention to the camera, my voice transcends a certain way, and I like how it fits for the podcast. So a lot of my YouTube videos, I just don't post it as a podcast because I just feel like it's just a little bit of a different tone that doesn't fit what we're doing over there. Which might be something only I notice, right? But it's just like, whatever. It's like, whatever. Man, y'all are so reckless. Y'all are here just destroying me visually. Oh, he looks tired. Man, y'all can't be like, man, it's nice to see you. It's beautiful to see you. Come online and just critique my ass. I see y'all. Another nice day sitting on the grass and journaling. Shout out to Tay. You have a current book that you're reading? Nothing right now, to be honest. I didn't even really read anything on my travels, which I thought I was going to, but I didn't. The last book I read was more of a productivity book, which was like the 12-week year, I believe. Was it? What it was called? Yeah, it was like a productivity book. That's what I read. I like, read this book, Creative Act, but I don't read it in a linear fashion, nor do I read it for long. I kind of just read it as like little its and bits, almost like if you just like, you're just picking out a verse, like it's scripture or something like that. Are you a dreamer or a realistic person? I'm definitely a dreamer, but as you get older, you develop the skills and the knowledge to apply everything that you've gained to those dreams. So then your dreams don't just stay a dream, they become reality, right? Because when you say, are you a dreamer or are you realistic? It almost seems like, well, if you're a dreamer, then nothing comes into reality. And if you're realistic, then you never achieve your dreams. But both can coincide. Both can live with one another, right? Both can nurture one another, but it just takes time. Like a child naturally just dreams because they don't have the knowledge or the skills to turn those dreams into reality, right? That's what maturity and age and experience and wisdom does. So, I started off as a dreamer and I'm still a dreamer, but at least I've gained some knowledge and skills and experience where I can apply those to my dreams and bring them into reality and know what is within my capabilities and what isn't. But in my mind, majority of things are still always possible. Even if I don't know how to get there, I know there's a way. I don't like when people say, oh, this isn't possible. I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't want to hear that. Like people, they send rockets into space and stuff like that. Like, don't tell me something's not possible. That's kind of like my mindset. Definitely a dreamer, but, I don't like having dreams just be dreams. I like them coming into reality. I like them coming into full fruition. The ones that matter to me. What's your advice about a pruning season? What do you mean? What do you mean by that? Can you explain a little bit? Summer Theodore says, I love the 12-week year. Great book. Highly recommend it. Great book. I need to boil some water. I need to boil some more water for some more tea. Give me 1 second. Got some really good sencha green tea in Japan. I didn't even really get to get as much tea as I wanted because, again, as a parent, when you travel with your child, the trip is really more curated for your child. So like, imagine how boring it would be if I spent a whole day just going to tea shops and tasting tea and like doing tea ceremonies. It would be so boring for my daughter. So when I got there, I like quickly realized again, I was like, oh yeah, the things I really want to do, I'm not going to be able to do. So I'm just going to have to go back to Japan. I already told my daughter, I'm like, I'm coming back on a solo trip so I can do some things I really want to do. Bruce Lee, have you ever heard of Seven Bomar? He has spiritual AI that is unmatched. I actually know Seven Bomar from, I know his content from 8-9 years ago. 9 years. Try to think how old I am right now. 9 years ago, I discovered Seven Bomar. Yeah, great stuff. Sometimes I feel like almost as if like so much information that's not even really needing to be applied. So sometimes in the past, I felt like when I was listening, it almost felt like spiritual entertainment. Like I'm like, a lot of this stuff I'm not even going to apply. But still very interesting. Very interesting dude. Very interesting dude. Someone said, Amara says the sex shops in Japan are next level. I wasn't really thinking about getting into that, but Japan does have those. I did see the red light districts. Japan is definitely a wild place. Japan is definitely a wild place. Someone said, imagine having such a cool dad. Let me tell you something. I don't think nobody thinks their parents are cool, even if your parents are cool. Like, you don't actually think in real time that your parents are cool. Like, to my daughter, I'm just her dad. Like, she don't know anybody else. She's like, that's just my dad. Did you get to thrift? No, I was saying earlier that like I bought like 1 or 2 things, but again, I really couldn't take the time to like shop because, you know, it's really this, I can't shop while like my daughter's just like walking behind me and like, you know, it's just, you feel like this pressure of like, hey, what are we gonna do next? I'm like, I can't do it. Japan has a day to celebrate penises. That's wild. I didn't know that. Yeah, Japan red light district is crazy because when I was walking around Shinjuku real late at night, oh my god, they're trying to pull me into massage places right, left, and center. They're like, where are you going? I'm like, I'm gonna go see my friend. They're like, your friend is here. I'm like, no, my friend is not upstairs. I know they're not upstairs. And these old ladies kept trying to grab me into the massage parlors because obviously they pull you up there and then they have girls in there and they label it as a massage, but y'all know what it is. Y'all know what it is. And yeah, Shinjuku at nighttime, they get active. I mean, all day get active, but nighttime they get real active. It's the food selection like there. Food is fire. That's one of my favorite things about Japan is just food everywhere, really good food, and it's really cheap. You can eat really well for a good price still. You know, like my last meal I had, I was with my buddy and my daughter, and we ordered a bunch of food. We ordered like we were full. We still had leftovers, and we only spent $20. You know, it's just one of those cities. Like Tokyo is one of those cities where it has everything. You could do it all. Anything you want, anything you want to do, anything you want to discover, it's there. You know what I'm saying? It's just a very stimulating city, y'all. Your friend is here as well. Yeah, that's what they told me. They're like, your friend is here. I'm like, no, he's not. Yeah, he's literally not there. I know where he is. I'm going to meet him. Yeah, you know, you can't knock the hustle though. You know, they're trying. They trying. They just working. How's the sushi? Sushi is amazing out there. It's not like sushi out here though, right? Like with the rolls. Sushi out there is like really just like the raw fish. I was actually surprised on menus how much raw meat they do out there. You know, like raw beef, you know, raw egg. I saw like raw horse meat. I saw horse on a lot of menus. I didn't know people eat horses. A lot of raw foods, a lot of raw foods, a lot of raw meats. Definitely is just like one of those cities it's amazing to explore. If you've never been, I highly recommend doing Japan at some point in your life. It just feels like another planet. It's real cool and it's real efficient. You know, like everything just kind of works a little bit better. They kind of just think about things on another level. It's almost as if they kind of strive for perfection. You know, like even the fact that like their toilets, man, all their toilets are heated. They got music. You know, it's got the little spray thing if you want to do that. It's got the deodorizer. It's always real clean. It's just little things. It's just little things, you know? There's just little things out there. Just be different. Someone said the raw egg is epic. Yeah, I imagine. Yeah, I imagine. I imagine. Do you ever drink matcha? Love matcha. Love matcha. I have some matcha ice cream out there too. That's pretty good. I had a lot of matcha. I had a lot of matcha out there. I had a matcha donut as well. But yeah, I drank matcha. I drank matcha like yesterday as well at home. I had matcha at my house. The whole little thing. Whip it up. Maybe I'll make some matcha in the next one of these next 2 videos I gotta film. Yeah, that'd be fun. Someone said a heated toilet seat with some music. Yeah, really. You know, and that's just normal there. Did you try McDonald's there? We actually did go to McDonald's. We did go to McDonald's with my daughter, but it was very similar. But what did I get from McDonald's? I actually tried the matcha apple pie at McDonald's in Japan. Pretty fire. The matcha, I don't even like apple pies, but the matcha pie was actually fire. Someone says, I feel like Japan is so clean compared to the States. It's not even something you have to feel, it's a fact. That's a fact. It's way cleaner, way more organized. It's like an organized chaos. And that's what I love about Tokyo. It's like, although there's like 1 billion people moving, it's like an organized chaos. You don't see garbage really like that. You know, it's clean. It's like everything's kind of moving. There's like a social harmony in a way, you know? And what I absolutely love most is that there's a vending machine on every corner where you can get, you know what blew my mind was I bought my daughter a cold drink and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get a tea. And then I go hit the vending machine for the tea and it comes out hot. I'm like, I can get hot tea on any single corner in this damn city. Anywhere I go, hot tea out of a vending machine. Just like that, boom, in a bottle. I was crushing the tea out there. For somebody like me who likes to drink hot tea, you know, when you're out and about, can't really, oh my God, the fact that I could just grab a hot tea, you could grab a hot coffee too. I'm like, this is amazing. Or I can have a cold tea. I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. Someone says, so it's like New York, but cleaner. Exactly. It's a better New York. It's cleaner. People look cleaner. They're more fashionable out there. How's the air quality? Good. I mean, I don't know. It felt fine for me, the air quality, to be honest. There's less. It seems like more people take the subway and like people bike ride. It's very normal to see mothers with their children in the backseat of a bicycle, you know, or see like, you know, men in suits on bikes. Seems like a lot of people rely on the public transportation because it's really good. You know, every other block, there's an entrance to a new train station, and that train will take you anywhere within the city. So like, I wouldn't even drive there myself. So maybe, I don't know, maybe there's just less cars on the road than you would have in like New York. You know, it's not like there's just tons of taxis booming through the street like that. Yeah, but they are wild with the vending machines because they also had a vending machine for Wagyu steak, which was wild. I was like, how does this work? And apparently my buddy said it's actually really good. You know? So I think for me, my plan is I'm actually gonna, I think in 2 years or so, I wanna go spend like a year there. I wanna go spend like a year there. I just love that Tokyo. I love Tokyo. It's just very inspiring, you know, especially the fashion. Fashion's so fire. It's so infectious. It's so good. I just think it's important. I just think it's important that if people go there, like you kind of just really respect like what they've kind of created. You know, like you don't even see garbage cans. It's really hard to come across a garbage can. You got to like take your garbage home, or like you eat or you drink wherever you buy your thing, right? Because it's like you literally will carry around your garbage all day until you get to a garbage can. You don't see that many garbage. They just don't have garbage cans in the streets or even at the subway stations. And that's why it's so clean. It's like people like, you know, get their garbage and then they bring it home. So it's like if you go there, you can't go there and just litter and stuff. It's just like so out of pocket, so out of character. You know, you really kind of have to respect the tone there. Dominique says, I love Japanese fashion. And that's something I noticed like where I live, it feels more like, you know, in Japan, it's like everyone goes out and like dresses very well. Like they will humble you there. Like you think you're fresh and then you're in Tokyo and you're like, oh my God, I'm average. They will humble your ass there when it comes to fashion. And it's like everybody steps out almost to impress. But like that's just like the standard. That's just like the standard is to be fresh. And I love that because it's a contagious energy. And you're like, yeah. Let me level up my let me level up my freshness. Let me level up my fashion. And then when I came home, it was like instantly, you know, I go out and do some grocery shopping and everyone's in sweats, you know, everyone's just like whatever. And I'm like, I like that energy out there where everyone looks real nice and clean and fashion on point and like just their own aesthetic, like so many different aesthetics. It's just amazing. So that's the type of energy I want to be around. So I think Tokyo is my favorite city I've ever been to, right? And I've traveled. Tokyo is my favorite city I've ever been to, 100%. 100%. Or the prices, yeah, it's cheaper there. So it's cheaper there. Food is cheaper. I have a buddy that lives there. He said rent is a lot cheaper. It's just cheaper. Things are cheaper for sure. And I have a buddy that has been living there for the last 4 years who moved from here, Vancouver, to there. And he's like, yeah, it's been cheaper for me. And definitely food is cheaper. They are light years ahead when it comes to fashion for sure. Light years. Light years. Audrey said the subways are the best too. Yeah, the subway system is absolutely impressive. Absolutely impressive, the subway system. How intricate it is, how it can bring you anywhere, how it's always on time, how it's not chaotic, it's organized. It's not like New York subways and stuff like that. It's like you feel completely safe. Nobody's wilding out doing anything weird. People don't even talk on the subway. Everyone's just minding their business. You know, it's interesting how you can have such a populated city, but it be so organized. It's just really interesting. You know, it's just really interesting. So definitely recommend it. Definitely recommend it. I do got a bunch of footage that I'm gonna chop up. Probably on our next study stream. That's what I'm gonna be working on. So I can share some of the stuff that I was doing. It's kind of hard to film when I'm out there with my daughter because again, she, can't really put her on camera. So I'm like trying to angle things where she's not in it. I'm like, sometimes it's just difficult. Lena says, I got lost in Japan's public transport for 3 hours, but it was completely my fault. I actually met a lady out there on one of the last days that she's with her son traveling there. And the first day there, her and her son got split up at a subway. I guess maybe she stepped on the subway on the train and it closed, and then she lost her son. Ended up finding him, of course, but she said it was terrifying. But the good thing is, if you just use Google Maps or even Apple Maps, it will tell you exactly which train to take, which station, which one to cross over at. It gives you such good instructions. And then once you get the hang of it, you're just zooming through there. It's beautiful. And then you even start to remember where to go. Like I was already remembering where to go and stuff like that, which lines to take. Did you notice a difference in the quality of food compared to the West? Yes, for sure. So what I realized is in the West, they hate us. In the West, it's 100% profit over people. That is the tone we have here. Profit over people. Let's take shortcuts. Let's rush. Let's just make our money. When I was there, it felt like everything moves at a very fast pace, but it still felt like, oh, there's a care for the people here. There's a genuine care for the people. There's better quality food, better quality service. You don't even tip out there. There's no tipping at restaurants, but they make sure the service is still great. And then even with, again, I was saying what I like about there is like real craftsmanship. You can even go and research it, but the Japanese have always been known for like the craftsmanship to like take something and bring it to the next level. I bought some sunglasses out there, and normally when you buy sunglasses, you just buy them and then you walk out. This guy was like putting them on my face for like 20 minutes, like just like looking to make sure those glasses look right. He's like taking like different angles. He's like this, just fixing the shape on. I had no idea what he was doing, but I was like, you know what? This feels good. I'm gonna let you do you. And then he like packaged it up real nicely. Then he noticed it's raining, so he put a nice little rain bag over it with a nice little tape there and put it. Then I went to grab it. He's like, no, no, no. He walked it outside for me, handed it to me, gave me the little bow. I'm like, man, back home, they don't do none of that. They don't do none of that. So I like that. And I like that energy because you go to so many different stores, so many different shops, even if it's just a coffee shop. Aesthetic is fire. Service is fire. And I think that just is magnetic. Like it just also will inspire. And that's the type of energy you put into what you do. Where over here in the West, I feel like everything is about speed. Everything is about speed and shortcuts and getting it out faster. So I like that craftsmanship energy. So it's something I want to surround myself around more. Amara says, I get better customer service at a Japan 7-Eleven than I ever got at a typical retail store in Canada. Yeah, 100%. Like, it's very interesting. So I think there's just a higher standard for a lot of things there. Just like a baseline. The baseline is higher than how it is here. You know, like when I came back and I used the bathroom at the airport, immediately I'm like, yo, the bathroom's messy. You know, like I say, it's not the same. When I went to Japan, I went to the airport, bathroom was immaculate. And again, you know, heated seats, music on the toilet, little deodorizer. I'm like, what's, you know, even in my hotel, I noticed something. So, you know, you take a shower, the windows fog up, right? Maybe you've experienced this other places, but this is the first time I noticed this. Take a shower, the windows fog up. But somehow the windows don't fog in a perfect square in the middle of the window. So when you come out the shower, you can still see yourself and you don't have to rub the window down. Those little details I absolutely love. I'm like, I've never thought of that or seen that before. How did they do that? Why isn't it not fogging up in this little square right here? It's actually a good size square, but the rest of the windows fogged. And they did that so nobody has to take their hand and rub it on the glass to see themselves. Just thinking on another level. So that's what I like, you know. Then, and of course, like everywhere, Japan has a very dark history, right? And it obviously has its problems as well, you know. I hear you know, it obviously has its problems as well, but I think I like it more. But it's very easy to romanticize a place that you just visit for a vacation. But even talking to my buddy who's been living there for 4 years, he's like, to tell you the truth, bro. He's like, I love it. He's like, it's better than back home. So my plan is to go back again for a month by myself. Then the second time I'm gonna go back for 3 months. And then if I'm still feeling it, I'm gonna go back for a year. So that's kind of like my overall plan. To just really like, you know, see what it's like. Someone said, how is their behavior towards someone from a different culture or origin? So my experience has only been positive. So what I kind of know or have learned about like Japanese people, or at least the culture, is a very passive society. Meaning, I think there's so many people in Tokyo. I'm gonna just talk about Tokyo, but there's so many people that like to keep a social harmony, you have to keep things moving and you have to be polite. And it seems like that's what they do. So like apparently out there, like they have this saying where everyone has two personalities. There's the personality that you present yourself to the outside world, and then there's the personality that you have behind the scenes. So even if they don't like you, they're not going to express that to you, right? They're going to be nice, they're going to be cordial, but maybe when they go home, they may be like, yo, I saw this dude, or like, or whatever. They may talk some shit, you know? So I only have great experiences out there. You know, I don't feel no type of way from people. I think, you know, some people may go out there and like piss them off because, you know, if you go out there and you're gonna be super loud on the subway or the train, or you're gonna be messy, if you don't like kind of fit into their social harmony, now you're kind of disrupting it, and maybe you'll be met with friction at that point. But I'm just the type of person to like, you know, respect a culture. They have good habits. They do. But yeah, you know, every culture is different, you know. There's people obviously who move away from Japan, you know. I think for me, because I have the ability to make my money online and like kind of I'm independent, um, I like the idea of possibly living in Japan for a while. I probably wouldn't want to if I had to move to Japan and get a job. I heard like, you know, trying to fit into their work culture is very difficult for foreigners. So that's probably a reason why I wouldn't want to live there. If I was like, if I had to move there and find a job, but if I moved there, I wouldn't have to find a job. You know what I'm saying? I've created my own job. I could do what I do wherever I go. So that's why it seems interesting to me, because I can still do what I do and have my life, but get all the benefits of like a new environment. Someone says, where all have you traveled and what does it compare to? I've traveled to Brazil. I went to about 6 different cities in Brazil. I've traveled to Mexico a few times. I've traveled to Jamaica, of course. I've traveled different parts of America. I've traveled to India twice, all over India. I've been to Thailand. I've been to Hong Kong, but that was only for like 2 days. And I've also been to Kenya, so Africa. And I've been to Puerto Rico. And I've been to, where else? That may be all the places I've been to, which is quite a bit. Which is quite a bit. And out of all those places I've been to, different places are my favorites for different reasons. If I was going to live in any of those places that I just named, let's say for like a few years, I would choose Tokyo, 100%. If it was like just weather, I would choose Jamaica, Yeah, if it was weather and like food, nah, not even food for Jamaica anymore. Jamaica kind of gone down. Heinz, can you refer a safe city in Jamaica to visit? Yeah, Belmont, Jamaica. It's a smaller town. It's a smaller town. I have a friend that lives there. Beautiful little town. You just want like a slow living, slow pace, but still some beaches and stuff like that. Belmont, very, very safe. No problems there. But even if you go to Negril, and you stay in the tourist vibes at a little hotel on the beach, it's safe. It's safe. Heinz, what's your most favorite place ever to recharge? Probably Jamaica. Because you can really just kick back there and just like, the fruit and stuff. But my relationship with Jamaica is kind of bruised right now. I don't really have that much of a desire to go back at this point in time. The last few times I went, it just felt different. It felt like the essence wasn't there, but that may have just been those individual experiences I was having. So I don't want to project that on all of Jamaica. So maybe I have to give it another chance. But at the moment, I'm not really that interested in going. If anything, I'd rather explore more of Africa. For comfort and just like living, I like Tokyo. For like maybe challenge and like the vibes that truly align with me, I want to discover more Africa. Bruce Lee eats Jamaican food like twice a week. I would too, if there was good Jamaican food by me. I mean, I could make some, but like, there's not that many good Jamaican spots by me, unfortunately. Allison says a lot of changes going on in Jamaica. Yeah, there are a lot of changes. So it just is what it is. I think a lot of different places, a lot of different countries and cities are changing. You have some places that were like really down and out and that are like uprising, right? And then you have places that have always been like, almost pretty good. And those places are decreasing in different ways. So it seems like the world is changing in a lot of ways. Like, I don't think 5 years from now, anyone can predict exactly what the world's going to look like. Like, technology is rapidly, evolving at an exponential curve that we've never really seen before. Everything is different now. It's very difficult for most people to ever buy a house. It's like cheaper to rent than buying a house now. Economies are changing, economies difficult. There's just so many different things. The world is so crazy right now. Um, so it's almost like we're just in for this wild ride. And I think that's why I like traveling, because I'll be honest, the first time I went to Japan, now I've traveled, right? But everywhere I've traveled was always kind of like, not third world countries, but like countries that weren't as modern, let's say, as like where I live, Canada, or like, or as America. So being Canadian, or let's say North American, first time I went to Japan, I was like, man, I feel like I was just like told a lie. I feel like I was consuming propaganda my whole life, because I was like, I just assumed that like Canada and America were like ahead, just had it figured out more than other places. When I went to Japan, when I went to Tokyo, I was like, no, they figured it out. It seems like they're operating on a better level in many different ways. I even thought that the American and the Canadian passports were the best passports in the world. That's just what I always assumed, until I learned that Singapore and Japan passports have higher ratings than America and Canada. Let me double check that, right? Especially America. Like Americans get force fed that, oh, we're the best, we're the best, we're the best, we're the best. Y'all do like the whole Pledge of Allegiance every morning, which is super weird to me. We don't do that in Canada. We don't pledge allegiance, which is like super weird to me. It's super weird. Yeah, so the number one ranking passport in the world is Singapore. Number two is Spain. And then Finland, and then South Korea. Like Canada and America aren't even in the top 10. You know what I'm saying? So like, I was like, wow, like I really feel like I was just like fed like this North American garbage growing up. But that's the beautiful thing about traveling and, having the internet. You can seek out your own information and experiences. What does that mean, the best passport? Well, all passports aren't equal, right? Some passports, like if, unfortunately, like I have family in Jamaica, a Jamaican passport doesn't give you access into many countries. You have to apply for a visa, right? Like a Canadian passport's pretty good. I can go to a lot of countries without needing to apply for a visa. You get access. When I was in Kenya and I was talking to someone, they're like, if I want to go to America, they're like, I have to wait 10 months to get approved, because the Kenyan passport doesn't just give them access like that to go. So all passports aren't created equal. Certain countries have like higher ratings that allow them to go to different countries with no real headaches, right? And I assumed that Canadians and Americans had the best ones, but it's not true. Singapore is actually number one. Singapore passport will give you access to the most countries, no headache. Yeah, Singapore gives you 194 visa-free access into countries. So 194 countries you can go to with a Singapore passport. Right? So 194 countries, which is pretty dope. The US passport, it's 188 countries. Now let's see like what the worst passport is, unfortunately. Somalia gives you access to 46 countries, Syria 39, Bangladesh 49 countries, Nigeria 55 countries, Ethiopia 56 countries. Right? So look at the difference. A France or Singapore passport gives you access to 194 countries. But let's say you're from Haiti, you get access to 62 visa-free countries. Right? You have to visit Spain one day. My mom is actually going to Spain in June for work. So I'm sure she's going to give me all the downloads on that, and then I'm going to have to come. That's why it's like, listen, if you if you have a passport that gives you access to the world, you got to use it. Because you know, there's so many people around the world that would just literally die for the access that you have. You know, you have the access to go to other countries and explore and learn. You know, like again, when I be in Jamaica, it's not like some people I have down there can just leave and go to certain places. You know, you got to go apply for a visa, and hope to get it, and blah 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 blah. It's like very difficult, very difficult. You know, some of us have a VIP ticket and we don't even realize it. A VIP ticket and we don't even realize it. Oh wow, I actually changed. I think United Emirates is the top passport now. France is second with Germany and Italy and Netherlands and stuff like that. Spain is very high up there. Spain is very high up there. Of course, you know, traveling is also very expensive, especially these days, but there are ways to do it that aren't too expensive. Fortunately for me, majority of the trips that I went on in the past were actually all film trips. So those trips were like places people brought me to film and to do projects. It's not like I was privileged in the sense it's not like I grew up traveling like that. We didn't have those resources. So like me going to Mexico, me going to Brazil, me going to India, me going to Thailand, me going to Puerto Rico, all these trips were paid for. All these trips I was brought there to film, to document. So that's actually how I got out into the world. It wasn't me paying. Majority of those trips back in the day were, you know, because of my skill set. So that was something really cool that video did for me. Because before I did video, the only place I ever went to was Jamaica, right? And that's simply being of Jamaican heritage. You know, my father brought me. But before I started doing video, that was the only place I went. And San Francisco. Took a train to San Francisco. Beyond that, I didn't travel, right? Right? I didn't travel. This side is a chief flight hunter. Yeah, I'm one of those too. Those two. My stream endurance is not up today. Stream is definitely going to be shutting down in the next 20 minutes. I got to build up the endurance. You know, last time before we'd be able to do this for like 4 hours, but I don't have the endurance. I got to get back into it. It's like when you haven't been in the gym for a while and you go and you're like, oh, okay, I've lost a little bit of strength. I feel like that right now. Riley says, when I lived in Singapore, travel was easy because other countries were close. Flights were short and Singapore's currency is pretty good. Yeah, I do want to check out Singapore next because I did like a lot of research on Singapore's first prime minister, and I actually really look up to that guy, Lee Kuan Yew, amazing dude. And then also that Singapore airport just looks absolutely immaculate. So I want to experience that. Someone says, what are you drinking now? This is just water. This is just water. When I'm at home, I try my best not to like drink bottled water, but at least, you know, get the water out of the cartons. It's actually like the first day since I've been back that I even like logged into my YouTube really. I haven't looked at my dashboard. Someone says, "Have you pulled a card?" Yeah, we pulled a bunch of cards. We pulled a bunch of cards. That's why they're all on the table. Do you go to the gym? What's your favorite way to get active? My guess is nature walk. I do love nature walks, but yeah, I do go to the gym. I don't think a nature walk and a gym are. I don't think I could really swap them. I don't think it's like one or the other. I think actually they're both needed. The gym is very much different than a nature walk. Nature walk is just good for breathing, just moving the body. You know, walking is obviously such a great exercise, but you know, you need resistance training just for overall strength and to also retain bone density as you get older. So the gym is a very much a different frequency, right? So I do go to the gym too. I'll be honest, I don't love the gym. I just do it because I have to. But I wouldn't. It's not like oh, am I going to go on a nature walk or am I going to the gym? It's like no, they both need to happen each week. Um, so yeah, I do prefer like calisthenics. So if I want to do when I do go to the gym, I find myself like at my gym, it's really big. So they got this nice, really big green mat, green area, like green grass area, you know, with a lot of bars and stuff. So I find myself doing quite a bit of stuff there, and then I'll move over to some machines, um, and things like that. A little bit of treadmill sometimes. Nice to start going again 3, 4 days a week. And what's a good city to visit in Canada? I'll be honest, I haven't traveled much of Canada, so I'm not the best person to ask. I'm actually a horrible person to ask. I've, I haven't traveled Canada, but I could say Vancouver is nice. It depends what you want. If you want like beautiful natural environment, Vancouver in the summertime. If you want more culture and food and like city life, go to Toronto. If you want like a bit of like city and like history and also culture, go to Montreal. And art, go to Montreal. Those are like the only cities I think are worth going to, that I know of. But besides that, like besides that, no, I don't know if Canada is like a really big vacation destination. Maybe it is. I'm not sure. Maybe because I live here, I just don't imagine. But yeah. Oh yeah, Banff is nice. Banff is nice. Depending on the season you go in. If it's a little bit too busy, it kind of loses its essence. You know. Someone says this may be off topic, but as an only child, do you get lonely at times? I think because being an only child. Now, let me be honest. I do have siblings, but I didn't grow up with my siblings, so I'm an only child. My experience is an only child experience, although I have siblings, but didn't grow up in the same house or like around each other really. But because I'm an only child, I find I don't experience loneliness because from a very early age, I was used to being by myself. Um, like it would be very hard for me. Like I have friends that have like whole families and it's beautiful. And you go to their house and it's like 8 different people living in one house. That would be so hard for me. I'd go insane. I'd go crazy because I never learned at a young age to be under the same roof as so many different characters and energy and people, right? Like to me, like anytime I've ever lived with someone, it's always kind of been hard for me, you know, roommates or whatever. Like it's been more difficult because I grew up like an only child. So more so got used to my own space and, you know, I like that, you know. So I actually find because I'm an only child, I don't get lonely easy, as easy, right? Because that's like the norm, that's the foundation. Will you do a study stream soon? Yes, Romy, going to be scheduling some of those ASAP because I do have a lot to edit, and I don't actually feel like I have the mental focus strength by myself at the moment to fully get into like deep edits. So we're definitely gonna be doing those on stream, get back into things. And yeah, definitely those are coming soon. And I don't think it's like better. Like I don't think my experience is better or worse, you know. It's just my experience. You know, I think it's a beautiful thing to be able to have like a whole family and, you know, all that love and community. And, you know, I just didn't really have that. So it's not even something that I find that I desire because I just grew up in a different way, you know. Okay, y'all, I'm cooked. My endurance today is not as long. Um, I'm gonna schedule some streams out actually right now. So I'm gonna do a little bit of my scheduling, prepare for some next upcoming streams. It was nice just to say hi, just to tap in with you. Since I am back, we are back. So we'll get things back into momentum, into a flow. New videos, new streams, you know, all of the above. It'll be good. It shall be good.